All right, we're going to take a trip back in time today, all the way back to 1988, to look at a single software release that didn't just tweak a product, it completely rewrote the rules for what businesses could do with technology. Yep, this is the story of how Oracle version 6 basically created the blueprint for the modern enterprise platform. So think about this for a second. This was the question that countless companies were wrestling with in the late 80s. They had these huge global ambitions, and they were practically drowning in data. But their technology? It just couldn't keep up. And that tension right there, between what they desperately wanted to do and what their systems could actually handle, well, that's where our story really kicks off. So let's really paint a picture here. It's 1988. Businesses are growing faster than anyone ever imagined. And what does that mean? It means more customers, more sales, more transactions, more of everything. And all of that more creates this absolute explosion of data that the systems of the day were just not built for. Not even close. A new solution was needed, and it was needed like yesterday. Now, this whole situation led to two giant, throbbing headaches for any company trying to grow. First up, system gridlock. I mean, imagine your entire office trying to update the same single spreadsheet at the exact same time. The whole thing would just freeze up and grind to a halt. And second, downtime. To do something as basic as a backup, you had to shut the entire system down, sometimes for hours. For a business operating around the clock, that's just money flying out the window. And into this world of frustration and bottlenecks, Oracle steps onto the scene with its landmark version 6 release. And look, this wasn't just some patch or minor update. No. This was a direct, powerful answer to the biggest problems that enterprises were staring down. Okay, so let's break down the first huge innovation. Oracle decided to take on that system gridlock I was talking about. What we can basically call the everybody stand in line and wait problem. It was this massive bottleneck that was just crippling productivity everywhere. And what's so cool about this is how simple the idea was, but how huge the impact was. Before version 6, if you needed to, say, update a customer's address, the database locked the entire customer table, the whole thing. Nobody else could touch it until you were done. It was incredibly inefficient. But with V6, Oracle introduced row-level locking. Now the database only locks the specific row, the one record you're editing. So you could be changing one customer's info while your colleague, at the very same moment, is updating a completely different customer in the very same table. This right here was the secret sauce that unlocked massive scale concurrency. All right, next up, Oracle took aim at that second crippling problem, downtime. I mean, for any system that was mission critical, having to just go offline for maintenance, that was becoming a non-starter. The goal was to have these systems up and running 24/7, no excuses. And this just lays it out perfectly. The old way was called offline backups. You literally had to turn off the database, stop all business operations cold, and then run your backup. Version 6 introduced hot backups, and this was absolutely revolutionary. It meant you could create a complete, totally reliable backup of your entire database while it was still online and processing transactions. All of a sudden, there was no more forced downtime. This was a total game changer for industries that literally never sleep. So the third breakthrough was maybe a little less obvious, but it was every bit as powerful. See, before version 6, databases were, well, they were kind of dumb. They were just passive containers. You put data in, you took data out. That's it. But Oracle started asking a totally new question. What if the database itself could be made intelligent? And this is where something called PL/SQL comes into the picture. It stands for Procedural Language/SQL, and it was Oracle's brilliant way of letting developers write and store complex application code, the actual business rules and logic, directly inside the database itself. So the database wasn't just storing data anymore, it was storing procedures, it was storing intelligence. And as you can see, the process itself was powerful because it was so simple. A developer could now write a crucial piece of business logic like, hey, if a bank withdrawal is over $10,000, flag it for review, and then store that rule right there in the database. So when a transaction happened, the code executed right next to the data it was acting on, making everything incredibly fast, super secure, and way more reliable. This was a huge paradigm shift. So here's the really crucial point. It wasn't just one of these features. It was all three of them together that created this powerful combination. You had concurrency from row-level locking, you had resilience from hot backups, and now you had intelligence with PL/SQL. This triple threat is what took Oracle from being just another database to being something else entirely. Because once you combine all those capabilities, Oracle version 6 wasn't just a place to store data anymore. Not at all. It had become a true platform. It was an active, intelligent engine that you could build an entire enterprise on top of. Yeah, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The release marked this fundamental shift in what businesses could even expect from their data systems. Suddenly, the realm of what was possible had just expanded exponentially. And this transformation meant that Oracle could finally, confidently, go after the biggest, most demanding customers in the world. It was ready for the mission-critical workloads of industries like banks. We're talking about processing millions of transactions a day, where perfect accuracy and constant uptime were completely non-negotiable. Airlines, managing these unbelievably complex real-time reservation systems for entire fleets of aircraft flying all over the globe. And even governments, securing and managing just massive amounts of critical data for things like national infrastructure and services for citizens. So ultimately, Oracle version 6 delivered these three essential qualities: concurrency, resilience, and programmability, and put them right at the very heart of enterprise computing. It just set a totally new standard for what a database could be, and honestly, its influence is still felt all around us today. And that really leaves us with one final thought. When you use an ATM, or book a flight, or really interact with almost any large-scale system, you are benefiting from the foundation that was laid way back in 1988. So which one of these innovations do you think is the most critical to the technology you rely on every single day? Is it the concurrency, the 24/7 uptime, or that built-in intelligence? It's a tough one to answer.